If you're not raising rents annually, you're costing yourself thousands and hurting your tenants. Hi, I'm Brian Bean, founder of Dream Big Property Management here in Riverside, California. Today we're talking about rent prices, specifically how much can you raise rent on your Riverside, California property, and more importantly, why you should raise your rents. And if you're a mom and pop rental owner, commonly referred to as an accidental landlord, this is for you. So in 2020, in the early days of COVID, the California legislature passed Assembly Bill 1482, also known as the Tenant Protection Act. AB 1482 limits rent increases on many properties. They call it a rent cap, but make no mistake, this is rent control. Some homes are exempt from this rent control. For example, if you own a single family home or a condo and it's not held in title by a corporation, an LLC in which a corporation is a member, or a real estate investment trust, that's a Wall Street vehicle, not to be confused with the trust that your estate planner creates for you, well, you may be exempt. Newer homes, those built in the last 15 years, are also exempt, and owner-occupied duplexes are also exempt. But you must provide your residents with a written notice that you are exempt, or you cannot claim that exemption. Yeah, that's the rule. Now, what if you're not exempt? Well, you can increase rent, but it's limited. You can go up to 5% plus your local inflation rate, or 10% total, whichever is lower. And you only get one increase per year. Regardless of whether you're exempt or not, you must give written notice of any rent increase. And that's 30 days if it's less than 10%, but 90 days if it's more than 10%. Now, what happens if you break the rules? Your resident can refuse to pay the increase. You could owe refunds, penalties, and legal damages. And a court could also force you to pay your resident's attorney's fees. So make sure you play by the rules. There's no do-over because you didn't know. And it's the right thing to do. Okay, let's get into the most important topic. Should you increase rent on your tenants? Spoiler alert, the answer is almost assuredly, yes, you should. Many mom and pop landlords avoid raising rent. They fear they're going to lose a good resident, or they think increasing the rent will cause my renters to make a bunch of unnecessary repair demands. They simply might not have even thought about the ramifications of not keeping the rents in line with the market. And some might even have a current property management company that has brainwashed them into complacency because it makes management of the home easier. If any of this rings true, it's time to rethink your approach, because owning a rental property is running a business. Costs go up every year. Insurance, property taxes, vendor labor. If your income doesn't keep pace, your business is going to eventually fail. And maintenance is a big part of that equation. You should be budgeting 5% to 10% of your gross rents every year for repairs and improvements. If your property is over 20 years or older, make that 15%. And if you're not doing preventive maintenance, you're going to pay a lot more later. Here's an example. An annual HVAC tune-up and cleaning runs roughly $89. Over 10 years, that's $890. Plus add on some random bad capacitor or adding some Freon, a couple $100 here and there. The alternative is you do no maintenance and then you pull out your credit card to replace the condenser and do a deep clean on the coil and furnace. That's going to be $5,000 to $7,000. Waiting doesn't save you money. It multiplies the bill. Also, if your residents aren't telling you when something goes wrong because they're afraid you're going to raise the rent, that's a ticking time bomb. Lastly, you're not doing anyone a favor by keeping your rents below market value. Instead, you're creating a situation where the resident can never leave. For example, if your renters are paying $1,500 a month, but comparable homes go for $2,800 a month, they will not be prepared when someday you need to sell the home, or you need to move back in, or your adult children need a place to live. You will have conditioned them for future homelessness. That's not ethical. It's not profitable. It's not even necessary. You want to keep a great resident? Make sure the home they lease is nice and well maintained. They're not going to move to another home that costs the same simply to move. That just doesn't make sense. So the answer is keep your rents in line with the market. We like to keep our rents just under market value. That encourages lease extensions and it reduces vacancy for our clients. And that is the real key to your profitability. Treat your property like the business it is. It will repay you in multiples. You're going to have less stress and drama. You'll be running a smart and healthy business. If you have questions about your home's market rent, whether you're exempt from the state rent control, or if you just want to kick around best strategies for your rental property, call me directly at 951-314-5402. I'm happy to share. You can also find valuable information on our website, dreambigpm.com. Now here's a question for you. Has it been more than a year since you increased the rent on your property? If so, tell us why. What might be holding you back? In the comments section below, share it. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, if you found the information you heard here today useful, please do us a favor, like and subscribe below. That way we can help others just like you. Don't be accidental about your future. Be intentional. To your success.